Today is November 15th, 2016, and this marks the 15th anniversary of Halo as a whole. 15 years ago, Halo Combat Evolved came out. Well, at the time I was actually 6 years old. I didn't get into Halo until Halo 2 released, but since that release date 15 years ago, many people have made many memories in Halo, despite what your favorite game may be. I'm not going to talk about the classic playlist that 343 is releasing today. What I'm going to talk about is the sudden influx that I seem to be noticing of people coming to my channel that claim to be older Halo fans that are just now getting into Halo 5, they're having trouble with it, and they need tips. And while generally I do refer people to different playlists that are on my channel that help out newer players to the game, I've seen too many of these comments. I'm going to try to address some of the main problems that older Halo fans tend to have. And I'm not saying that every older Halo fan will have these problems, but generally when switching from an older game like Halo 3 or Halo 2 to Halo 5, these are the problems that arise. The first thing is one thing that I see a ton in older fans, and that's Hyper Magnum Syndrome. That's what I call it anyway, HMS. Essentially, I've watched a ton of gameplay over the last year of Halo 5, my own, others, I do private lessons as well, and I notice many older fans generally don't switch out their Magnum as much as they should. I don't blame you. Coming from Halo 3 where the battle rifle was king and everything else got left in the dust, I would kind of expect you to show this behavior, but Halo 5 is definitely different. In Halo 5, the Magnum isn't good in all situations like the battle rifle was in Halo 2 and Halo 3. If we look at this poorly drawn diagram, and I'm not really proud of this at all, this represents a general distance at which the assault rifle, Magnum, and longer range weapons like the battle rifle, carbine, and DMR are appropriate. A skilled player knows when to switch these weapons out, and generally these switches happen constantly throughout the game. Not only is this the most common problem I see, but it's also the most detrimental to your game. When I see people change this bad habit, a lot of times their scores skyrocket. Gotta shout out a Shady Panda here. When I was kind of figuring out how I wanted to do my private lessons, he was one of the kind of test pilots. He had this problem, I helped him out with it, and then he ended up going into free-for-all. After purging his body of Hyper Magnum Syndrome, he started to see his scores increase immensely. It's such a bad habit that's really going to hurt you. I'm going to play you two clips from the gameplay where I got champion rank in free-for-all, and in this first clip you'll see that I'm trying to use the Magnum a little bit too close. I ended up missing the kill, and if I used my assault rifle here, if I closed the gap with my thruster, I definitely would have been able to get this kill. But in the same game, just a couple seconds later, you can see that I used my assault rifle to get a good fast kill because it was an appropriate time to use it. You need to be able to make this switch on the fly, fast, and throughout the entire game. And if you're really having trouble getting this down, one thing I would suggest is going into free-for-all, which is generally close quarters battles, and using your assault rifle for the duration of the entire match. Don't even touch your Magnum or a battle rifle. This will show you on different maps exactly where the most appropriate ranges for assault rifles are, and then eventually you'll get it into your muscle memory and your mind in general. You'll be able to pull this off very well. You'll look like a pro, switching your weapons whenever you need to. Tip number 2 that I think can help a lot of older fans in this game is if you have not switched to a controller layout where the aim down sight button is on the left trigger, you are seriously missing out. I've done a video already on Bumper Jumper versus Hell Jumper, two layouts that are very popular, Hell Jumper being essentially the same thing as Bumper Jumper, only Hell Jumper having the left trigger be aim down sight. Many older fans like Bumper Jumper because it reminds them of the older games. They have the right stick click in, which is something that they always kind of grew up with. That's what Halo always had in the past. This is what I used when I first started playing Halo 5. It didn't feel foreign to me, the game felt similar, and it played like all of the other Halo games that I had played in the past. However, once I switched to Hell Jumper, which is essentially the same layout, only with the left trigger being aimed down sight, I saw my accuracy increase by a huge percentage. I constantly get 60, 65, and even 70% accuracy games, where back when I was using Bumper Jumper, my accuracy was around 45 to 50%. With the Smart Scope being on every single weapon in the game, being able to quickly toggle it on and off, and being able to get rid of it whenever you want just by lifting up your finger from the left trigger, you become a lot more accurate, especially at the varying ranges that we already talked about with the Hyper Magnum Syndrome. Why wouldn't you want a tighter bullet spread with the assault rifle, or a little bit better range with the shotgun? A lot of older fans will say, oh, it just feels like Call of Duty. Aim down sight's left trigger is Call of Duty. No. The Halo 5 and Call of Duty are nothing alike. Yes, they both have sprint, but that doesn't make them any similar. If you still think so, watch my video on Halo players are better than COD players. And the third and final thing that I see a lot of older Halo fans doing, and even newer Halo fans, it's a very common problem, is aggression. Aggression is huge for older Halo fans. I mean, you grew up with a game where movement was fairly slow. Halo 1, 2, and 3, they all had varying speeds, but they were still very slow, and if you turned down the wrong corner, it was pretty easy to just walk back, take a little backpedal, and throw a grenade. You would have been fine. Halo 5, however, if someone shoots you around the corner, gets the first couple shots, they can sprint down that corridor around that corner, use their thruster packs to close that gap. This makes the game much more punishing because you can't necessarily get out of the way of someone sprinting down the corridor with a thruster pack as easily, so being too aggressive can punish you very, very hard. I see a ton of older Halo fans constantly over-sprinting, trying to be Rambo, trying to run into every situation and get every kill in the room, when that's a lot of times not what's going to help you. This problem is then compounded because when you are not getting kills, when you're running in, you're going to see a huge decrease in your KD. Then you see that huge decrease in your KD, and psychologically you say, wow, I need to get more kills, my KD is really low, and you rush even harder. This creates a snowball effect which just hurts your KD over and over and over again. I already talked about how weapons in Halo 5 are dynamic and they have different places where they're really good, so if this happens, you can implement stealth using your assault rifle to come around corners or pick up an SMG, that's even better. With the diversity of Halo 5's weapons, there's a lot you can do with the weapons on the map to mold your game the way you want. Try to beat them in close range with an assault rifle because that takes a lot less skill. You close that skill gap. The biggest thing here is realizing when you are getting destroyed. You need to act. You can't let this happen all game and then right at the end think, wow, maybe I should have kind of chilled there. After 2 or so deaths in a row, you should kind of think, okay, are these guys objectively better than I am? And if that answer is yes, then you need to change your game plan because your game plan is broken and it's not going to work and you're just going to make yourself even more negative and the enemy team's going to win. Those are all of my tips that can help some older fans out there that are struggling with Halo 5 if they just got it, or maybe you're just struggling out there. The Halo 5 is your first Halo. These tips might help you out. If you have any questions, please comment down below. I love reading comments. It's my favorite part about YouTube. Please hit that like button. It really helps me out. If you enjoyed the video, please. Thank you all for watching. Stay notable, and I'll see you in the next one.